So Matter of the Law, Doomsday Machine, in a partnership with Jan Vervaake's YouTube channel and Matter to Infinity webzine, has the honor to interview Carach Angren this evening. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And my first question is, how do you look forward to your tour in the UK, Finland, Poland, Sweden? Special expectations, and which shows you are really looking forward to? How do you look back at the concert at Graspop?
Well, I hope they all have air conditioning because no, but we're in the middle of the summer. It has been really great, and we're going indeed to some new territories. We're very happy to finally be back in the UK. Ireland, never been before Scotland, so that's going to be very exciting. Eastern Europe as well, and yeah, what's there to say? I'm really excited to bring this show finally as a headliner, and I'm confident it's going to be really awesome. So yeah. The Graspop gig you asked me. Graspop was special because this was the first show we actually brought our new expanded production. So that was really excited for us, and everything worked out great. So that's really cool. I'm glad there was a great registration on YouTube to look back. And we did the same thing on Hellfest this year. And and this, of course, in the smaller club shows we have a different kind of production. So that's really cool that you can have a production that has everything big and for the people even in the back to enjoy entertainment. And in the club shows there's more an intimate setting and it's a different experience. So I hope people come to both because we have almost 40 shows, so there's a lot to see.
And so, throw back in time, how do you see your evolution between the Chase Vault, Tragedy Demo, first EP, and your first album? Jan has discovered you with your first album only, and he thinks you made a giant step between them.
Well, thank you. And it's really cool to have been able to release so many albums, and indeed it started with the Chaseful Tragedy. I think a lot of the things that we did back there, at least for me as a composer, are still the same because I made that album really intuitively. And I remember thinking it would be cool to make a couple of tracks about one story. So it would almost be like composing a horror movie. And as a composer, it's really cool to have one team instead of 4 different teams because you can connect things and there is an involvement in the story. The first track can be more like a prologue, like we did also on our other albums, Lammendam and That Came Through a Phantom Ship. There's like this big bang to come in the story and then we go back in history and tell a bit more. So that idea has been consistent throughout all our albums. But of course we have grown as musicians and as persons, and if I speak for myself, I learned a lot, I changed a lot. So and we have been able to incorporate that in all our releases. So and now we are going to the next one. We've been writing and it's going to be different again, and I'm proud of the fact that we somehow keep the Carach Angren spirit in all these albums alive, but incorporate different directions, and that's really cool. Also risk taking because you can also play it safe, like we do the same thing, but I don't like that. I want to grow myself and expand the territories and horizon, and so yeah.
So can you explain the band's name, who chose it, why, and how was it chosen?
It's really funny because when we came together with Serigor, we said like, okay, we're going to start this project. It was really small back then, and we said like, we need a name, and he said literally like, oh, I wrote some names down years ago and I put them in a drawer, and he was looking in the drawer and couldn't find them anymore, and one had tipped over on the edge behind the drawer, and this was Carach Angren, and he told me Carach Angren, and I liked it immediately the way it sounds because it is a bit mysterious, and it came from Lord of the Rings. But we never chose it because of that. So we basically chose it because it hit something with us. Yeah.
And how the idea of having an horror metal band came up to your mind? King Diamond is an influence, maybe?
Not, and that's funny because a lot of people ask me about King Diamond. And then one day I thought, oh, let's listen to it, because I never listened to it. And then I discovered that he had some similarities in these intros with voices and stuff. Actually, we saw them perform yesterday on Dockham Open Air. It was really amazing show. So then I saw, okay, there are similarities, but it was purely coincidence, because we had things like Hex Melting Flesh, and all albums we have these instrumentals, and but it was purely a coincidence. Yeah. The idea was that in the 90s you had a lot of symphonic black metal bands, and it was oversaturated, in my opinion. There were a lot of bands created in the spirit of Dimmu Borgir, Cradle of Filth, and I wanted to be going away from that, to have an original sound, an original idea. So that's why we came up recent years with the term horror metal, because it's super broad. Sometimes people say, "Oh, what does it mean?" Yeah, it can mean anything, and that gives us the freedom to do whatever we want within the genre. Yeah.
And which are your favorite horror authors?
My personal favorite is Michael Crichton, and he's more like he was. Unfortunately, he died like 10 years ago. He's more like a scientific horror author, but I like his stories a lot, because he takes you slowly into the stories. Like one of his first novels was The Andromeda Strain. He also wrote Jurassic Park, big favorite of mine. And he has something, I can't explain it, but when you read it you can't stop. So it's my favorite. Yeah.
And so suppose you are in a desert island, you don't have internet, no radio, you have only a record player with batteries, and you are only allowed to listen to 3 albums. Which albums will you choose to listen to?
Very, very hard question. The cool thing is, like, I'm a little bit of an audiophile. Like at home I have this perfect setup where you can dim the lights and I can listen and hear everything like it's recorded, and invested a lot to make it sound really cool. So I would choose albums that sound really good. And one of the things I like is recordings from Glenn Gould, pianist from Canada. In the recordings of him you hear sometimes him singing along, and the people that recorded him really hated this because they wanted just the piano, but he was always in a sort of trance, and you hear sometimes like and to me that's so cool because it gives it an emotional value. Another album I really like is Thriller by Michael Jackson, because it's so amazingly recorded. When you listen, you hear all these sounds and you can almost put them down where they were, and there are almost no albums that have that. So yeah. Another one, Nine Inch Nails has the Downward Spiral. Also, it's the same kind of crazy stuff going on around you. It's like you're in a 3D experience. So from that point of view I would probably for now take them.
Okay, good. And to finish our interview, would you like to leave a message to your fans around the world?
Yeah, we love our fans. They make it possible to be here for tonight, to do this super long tour, and it has been really heartwarming. Although we are horror metal, but so yeah, really cool. Thank you for everything, and hope to see you on the road.
Okay. So thanks for the interview once more.
Thank you too.
Yeah, no problem. And stay happy.